If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I love Yu Hakusho. It's the first series outside of Dragon Ball that I really got attached to. I remember being in the 5th grade and watching it through for the first time, and just being so amazed by the characters, the intensity of the fights, and the soundtrack. Hearing Smile Bomb for the first time will definitely take you to another world. It was a decently popular shonen series in its time, so that means it got a lot of video game adaptations. From the early to mid 1990s, Yu Hakusho games released yearly, sometimes even 2 or 3 times a year on different platforms. That's because during this time period, the manga was still in publication and the anime was still airing weekly. Game releases started slowing down around the late 90s, but they picked up during the early 2000s, right around when the English dub began airing over here in the United States. That's most likely how a lot of you watching this video discovered the series. In the 2010s, the games really started becoming barren. Outside of the Jump Anniversary games, we only got a single Yu Yu Hakusho related title in the span of 10 years, and it was a mobile game. 2018's Yu Yu Hakusho 100% Maji Battle. You can tell I can hardly contain my excitement. It's just another anime mobile game, turn-based gameplay you can pull for characters and put money into it. Seeing HD renders of the characters is kinda cool, but that's about it. Don't have too much to say on this. Moving on, I want to take the time to talk about some of the other games. I'm not going to touch on every single release, otherwise I'd be here forever. Just some of the games I feel like are worth mentioning, starting with some of the ones I personally own. The Battle of Yu Yu Hakusho Shito Ankoku Bujutsukai 120%. I'm pretty sure I butchered that. The Battle of Yu Yu Hakusho was the last Yu Yu Hakusho game released on the PlayStation 2, and the closest thing the series has to a competitive fighter. It's really hard explaining fighting games, especially ones that never got an English localization, so just bear with me. The first thing I'll touch on is the story. I was surprised to learn just how much material this game covers. It starts from Yusuke's first case and covers mostly every fight leading up to and during the Dark Tournament arc. In between each battle were shown cutscenes, which are just reused footage from the anime, that give context to kinda help us make sense of what's going on. The gameplay has elements from both Virtua Fighter and Tekken. Every character has a unique moveset. You'll see some of your favorite techniques from the show, like Kuwabara's Spirit Sword and Yusuke's iconic Spirit Gun. The inputs range from pretty simple to really complex. You'll see your standard quarter circles, anti-airs, grabs, and inputs that require you to be transformed. It's a really fun system that I think would be fun to master. On that note, I will say that this game is really difficult. There are a lot of fights that will test your knowledge of the mechanics, especially the final fight with Toguro at the end. I can't tell you how many times I tried to beat him. I even went as far as to change the difficulty of the game, and it didn't really make a difference. Granted, I do suck, but overall I do enjoy the challenge. For a game that came out 15 years ago, it still holds up pretty good visually. Part of that is due to the vibrant colors and the shading on the character models that really captures the show's art style in a pleasing way. If you're a fighting game fan and a fan of Yu Yu Hakusho, then I'd highly recommend you give this game a try. I'm playing it on an imported Japanese PS2, but if you don't want to do something that extreme, then you can always, emulate it. Anyways, let's talk about something not as good. Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament, also on the PS2. It's rough being a Yu Yu Hakusho fan in the US. We only got 3 of the 20 games that were released, and none of them are good, including this one. This is as mediocre as an anime fighting game can get. It suffers from a stiff and really wonky combat system, awful janky animations, and another story that only retells the Dark Tournament arc. It's kind of just more of the same. It's the only game to have Funimation's English dub, but even that isn't really much of a highlight. I was pretty disappointed to say the least while playing this game. For a cool fun fact, if you manage to beat the story mode, you'll see an anime cutscene that was commissioned specifically for this game. It's not much, but it is pretty cool, and it gives us a look at what a reanimated Yu Yu Hakusho would have looked like in the early 2000s. Overall, as a game, it's lackluster and leaves much to be desired. Now let's move on to the handheld side of things with Yu Yu Hakusho Spirit Detective for the Game Boy Advance. Yep, it's pretty shit. Playing this game was my first exposure to the series. This had to be around 2010 at the time, and I thought it was fun. I don't think that anymore. Aside from this game being visually atrocious to look at, it doesn't have much going for it on the gameplay side either. It covers everything from the first episode of the series to the ending of Yusuke and Kuwabara's fight with the Toguro brothers. In certain parts of the game, you're given the option to switch between Yusuke, Kuwabara, Hiei, and Kurama. Each of them have slightly different playstyles, but don't really spice up the gameplay too much. It has over 20 levels, but most of them aren't really memorable. This was the first ever Yu Yu Hakusho game released in the United States, and with mixed to really negative reviews, it didn't leave a good first impression. We're down to our last game, and easily the best one I've played so far. Yu Yu Hakusho Forever, another Japanese exclusive PS2 release and my favorite Yu Yu Hakusho game. Presentation-wise, it's amazing. Unlike the other games where they use scenes from the anime to retell parts of the story, here we have full-fledged cutscenes using in-game models. I don't understand a look at what they're saying, but I really do respect the amount of effort that was made. The gameplay isn't as combo heavy as the Battle Yu Yu Hakusho, but it's still fun in its own right. You have your standard punch, kick, block, and special attack buttons, and you can press down and circle to go into your super move. These super moves have cutscenes that require you to enter in a button combination. Your opponent has the ability to block this and reduce damage if they can enter in the same combination of buttons as you did in a certain amount of time. Another thing I want to mention is the character roster. All of the fan favorites are here, along with alternate costumes and colors for each one. If you want to play as Yusuke in his green school uniform instead of the Dark Tournament outfit, you can. It's a small thing, but a lot of the other games lack this. The story starts at the Dark Tournament, covers both Chapter Black and the Demon Tournament arc, all pretty decently. I really wish this game got a localization over here. Playing this with the English voices I'm used to would have enhanced my experience even more. But alas, that won't happen. Not only is this a great game for the series, but it's a really fun anime game as well. The current state of Yu Yu Hakusho games is pretty empty. Outside of characters from the show being included in Jump Anniversary games, we're probably never going to see a standalone game on consoles again. Well, at least not for a long time. It's a dormant series that'll never be as profitable as, say, Dragon Ball or even My Hero Academia. The most recent piece of content we have are the 2018 OVAs, which currently don't even have an English dub. Part of me wishes it got the same amount of attention and popularity as other shonen, but again, I'm kinda happy it doesn't. We don't need a remake, and damn sure not a live-action series. It's a product of its time, but it's far from being forgotten. And for now, that's perfectly fine. In the comment section, let me know what you guys think about the games I covered and which one stood out to you the most. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.